We're driving a 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe. Mercedes calls it a midsize, but it's really more of a compact.
Here's how much it costs.
The version we're driving is $67,000. Is it worth it? We'll talk about it, but first, interior. The Mercedes-Benz GLC was all new for 2023 for the SUV version. The version we're driving, the Coupe, is all new for 2024.
It's lively and luxe, which doesn't always go together.
The materials feel really nice, and the way it's organized just instantly screams luxury. Oh, and clicky vents.
Does this look like my legs in the 90s?
The kind of fishnet thing?
Or polyester. Either way, it's classy.
Underneath here, a couple of cup holders. The one up front, you can retract it so you have a little bit of extra space. And then you have a very recessed phone zone with a wireless phone charger. And then there's an adjacent USB port, which is a little bit difficult to reach, but you can make it work. Center console storage here.
Door storage, generous enough for a vertical bottle.
Also on the doors, optional Burmester speaker grates. Beyond cheese grater. If you run your finger over them, you instinctively want to recoil because it feels like you're going to cut yourself.
And yet you keep doing it.
Ooh. We've got these sort of semi-capacitive controls. I found that when I was trying to access the memory function, occasionally it would accidentally activate the heating function. Same thing over here where we've got this little control panel, and some of them are capacitive, like for the volume, but you can also press it like one big button. It's a little bit confusing initially.
I really like the volume controls. It's very speedy to turn the volume down, but also you have the fine control that comes from a button.
So you don't miss having a volume knob?
Not at all. The seat heater may get accidentally turned on.
Me too. Sorry.
But the seat heater and cooler can be activated at the same time.
You get toasty, but you don't get sweaty.
I find the seats nice and comfortable. It is interesting how the lower bolstering only comes so far down the seat. I don't know how well it'll hold my legs in when we really start driving quickly.
If you had no pressure points on my side. If I have a complaint, it's the side bolsters. They come very far forward, much farther forward than you need to keep my body in place. It impedes my arm movement when I'm driving in a 9 and 3. Elbow contact, and now your knees are flying back and forth. Moving to the rear seats, I am 5'10" with a long torso. I wasn't sure if I would clear because of the sleek roofline, but I do. Knee clearance is good thanks to that sculpted seat, and I like how the front seat sits high enough that you can fit your feet under very easily. I also
like dramatic lighting.
Dramatic lighting. Like, I hope you're wearing nice shoes because the GLC is going to show it off. In the second row, if you look at like the door cards, it still looks very classy.
Ooh, and fans of pareidolia, you'll love the rear vents.
If you're seated in that middle position and you're a child, you'll fit well. Am I right, kiddo?
Yep.
If you're seated in the middle position and you're an adult, you'll barely fit and wish you could sit in one of the outside positions. Am I right?
Yeah.
The rear seats do not have any kind of recline, so I hope you're comfortable with the static recline position. The center armrest comes down. I pushed the little button to let cup holders out, and it came to a single position. I was like, what is this? A place to put my phone? Eventually, I discovered that if you let it out one step and then you push it back just a little bit, it will come out the extra distance and reveal the cup holders.
You are far more tenacious than I am. I did not discover that.
Maybe I'm not intelligent, but I am tenacious. In the back seats, there are no power ports.
There are 2 power ports that I suppose the rear seat passenger might be able to access if you have a long cord. I got really out of breath saying that.
For cargo space, we've got 17.6 cubic feet, 40-20-40 split seats. If you go to the SUV version, it's 21.9. Even though it's not the biggest version of the cargo space, I think we could make this work.
There's a strap on...
Complete the sentence, sweetie.
Nope.
Complete the sentence.
There's a bin on the side. Also a strap for holding things.
You get the remote releases in the cargo area, and whenever you flip the driver's side down, the front driver's seat automatically starts powering forward to make room for it.
The underfloor area, often they're filled with like foam so you can organize things. This is a little more bare bones, but there's a lot more room down there.
There is a spare tire, and out back we've got a standard power liftgate with a kick function. Sometimes with the kick activation, it's like maybe it works or maybe it doesn't, and you just don't want to like kind of kick there impotently hoping it maybe does open. You want a virile kick.
Yes.
What about getting the booster seat installed?
A new kind of latch point. floppy technology. And they very easily bend out of the way, so you don't have to remove them and possibly lose them. Our booster seat was easy to install. A rear-facing car seat may work if you can get the front passenger to move up a bit.
As for safety, there are some interesting details here. The NHTSA has not rated the GLC. The IIHS has named it a top safety pick. And then in terms of active safety, you've got automatic emergency braking and you have blind spot warning, which is cool. But what you don't have is lane keeping assist. That's a standard feature on a Toyota Corolla. And yet simultaneously, you've got this pre-safe feature that if you're going to get into an accident, it'll like put the windows up and close the sunroof and like tighten your seatbelt. And there's even a system that can make a pink noise that adapts your ears so you don't have hearing damage in an accident. It's crazy. But lane keeping assist is going to cost you extra.
You could definitely fit a small family in here, but because it doesn't have the lane keeping assist standard, we cannot give it the family-friendly label.
Rear window test. Almost all the way down. Look at that. Boop, boop, boop. Dink. Armrest test. Driving in a comfortable 8 and 4, access to the outboard armrest is a little bit of a reach. Inboard is easier, although it does sort of land on this stitch zone. Squish factor is pretty good both inboard and outboard. 55% outboard, 73% inboard. Hey, would you like to see more videos like this where we review cars as a family, plus the occasional helicopter adventure? If you would, you are welcome to subscribe. Style.
The GLC is sleek and attractive, especially in coupe form. The grille has an interesting ratio of emblem to grille. The emblem's gotten so large and the grille so small that it is almost comical.
What if the observer's in space? Like, how else will they know that it's a Mercedes unless you got the, the big emblem out there?
You can also tell it's a Mercedes because the grille is made of tiny Mercedes logos.
We're driving the coupe version, and if you compare it by price to the all-wheel drive version of the SUV GLC, which is basically the same thing but with a longer roof, more squared off, this one is $7,500 pricier. Now there are some nuances perhaps in terms of like equipment, but still it's a pretty healthy leap if you want that sleek roofline.
I think I want the sleek roofline.
This is why we can't expose you to nice things, because then you will want them. This particular GLC, it's got this headlight display function, part of the Pinnacle trim, and it's like a little light display when it comes on. Very fun. We really like the look of the Mercedes-Benz GLC, but what do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Tell us in the comments. Onward to In Motion. I am cruising in comfort mode, which is really the standard mode, and ride quality is really good. Comfortable, but controlled. Steering the Mercedes-Benz GLC, it's very Mercedes, so it's a very slow ratio on center, and then the more you come off center with the wheel, the faster that ratio gets. This is how you'd want a car in Germany to be, because if you're driving at high speed, let's say on the Autobahn, you really want that on-center stability. What I don't find when cornering is a ton of driver engagement. A little more feel would be exciting to me, but really the thing that tripped me out, when you start to go quickly, after a certain amount of steering input, the vehicle pulls off power.
Wow.
It's kind of like what Mazda does, where it's like, oh, as you put steering input in, it puts a subtle amount of weight, it's imperceptible. This is perceivable. I looked through all of the documentation and throughout the systems here to see if there was like some acknowledgement of that as a function that perhaps you could deactivate. I could not find it. To me, that behavior was a suggestion that there may be less dynamism in the GLC, at least this version, than perhaps I was expecting. Where I did feel some dynamism was from the powertrain. Floored, fairly speedy downshift. Oh, did you notice how the seatbelts immediately, they're like, oh boy, this guy's doing something, give him the belt. For a vehicle with this kind of class, the engine sounds a little bit lowbrow.
We're in big trouble if you don't like high-pitched noises.
I just get enough of them in my daily life. I want something a little bit more meaty in my car. It might as well be saying, sweetie.
Aww, sweetie.
Exactly. From a stop here, I'm going to demonstrate one of my other favorite behaviors. Floored. Notice how much power there is right off the line, and then there's more power as the turbo really comes in. There's a 48-volt mild hybrid system with an integrated motor generator. You don't have that big turbo lag off the line. It just feels punchy. The 9-speed automatic transmission does a fairly transparent job of delivering those shifts. That's what I think. What does Sweetie think? Evie's at the wheel. As you depart here, give it as much power as you feel comfortable.
Woo! too confident. It is a real 1-2 punch. Like, I felt the initial burst of power and I'm like, okay. And then, oh my gosh, here comes the second one.
It's funny because sometimes you get that 1-2 punch, but the first punch is very, very weak. This is like 2 rights. Does it feel like the car's going where you want it to go?
Yes. I feel very reassured steering this around.
What about visibility?
Oh, I don't like it.
Really?
There's that teeny tiny window over my left shoulder. There's a big pillar. I don't know. I'm just not a fan.
What about size?
This is my favorite size of vehicle. Just big enough for our family, but small enough that it's fun to drive around. Easy to park. I don't feel like I'm going to whack into things. When I'm done driving the GLC, I appreciate that Mercedes will remind you if you left your phone on the charger.
And it says it in such a polite way too.
Just a minute. You've forgotten your phone.
Okay. If we were in the market for a compact luxury SUV, are there any game killers that would keep you from driving it?
No.
That's about as strong a praise as Evie ever gives anything. I'm getting back in the driver's seat. In total, we've got a luxury SUV that drives like a luxury SUV. Onward to remarks. Infotainment! We've got a standard 11.9-inch screen here. You also have these little controls over on the steering wheel to slide and use a cursor function over here. Same deal with the digital gauge cluster. Pretty easy to use, am I right?
The visuals are so helpful.
Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless functionality comes standard. Bonus points to Mercedes for making a system that's very sophisticated, yet you can actually find your way through it. I really like the optional augmented navigation setup. And then, of course, you've got Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
I'm hot and whiny.
I'm reducing the temperature to 66 degrees.
Well done, Mercedes.
The customizability of the gauge cluster is super cool.
I'm gonna go understated, which is probably not what you'd expect from me.
Is this really understated?
Well, like the Pink Floyd logo? What's going on here?
I didn't notice that before.
I wish you were here. The version we're driving also has the optional Guard 360 security cam, so it sees around the vehicle and you can capture people damaging it. And an optional transparent hood where they use cached imagery to kind of show you a quasi under the vehicle view when you're off-road. That's the kind of visibility we appreciate. Although if you really care about great visibility, consider Flying Eyes sunglasses. With scratch-resistant polycarbonate lenses and patented Resilimide construction, they are the lightest, most comfortable eyewear you'll ever wear, especially with a headset or a helmet on. Click the link in the description below to learn more about Flying Eyes. 2 more interesting technological notes. 1, you can use your finger with this fingerprint reader to pull up 7 different user profiles. And then also, there's the driver assistance package. Adaptive cruise and automatic lane centering work great. There's also a lane change assist feature. You just turn the turn signal and the vehicle will turn itself. That would be a little bit more impactful if it was a hands-off feature. Again, if my hands are on the wheel, I may as well be driving, but pretty cool tech. And now, a new feature. My buddy Brian's like, hey, you should show some of the really basic maintenance stuff. So we're gonna try this out and tell us if you like it and we should keep it. The Brian test. How do you open the hood? Do you like it's got those struts so it just goes right up? Then there is no dipstick. You have to look in the gauge cluster. You have to go to service, and then once the vehicle is warmed up and driven a little bit, it'll show you how much oil is in there. And then if you need to add windshield wiper fluid, it's on the driver's side. And that was the Brian test. And now let's talk about engine choices. The basic engine is a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine that's also a mild hybrid. It comes with a 9-speed automatic transmission. Move up from the GLC 300 to the GLC 43 and you get a 2-liter electrically turbocharged hybrid engine. Oh, and for the 2025 model year, there's going to be a GLC 350e 4MATIC, which is going to be a plug-in hybrid. Regardless of engine, you'll need premium fuel, and tow maxes out at 3,500 pounds. Going back to what we teased in the beginning of the video, is this vehicle that we're driving worth $67,000?
It does look and feel like a premium product.
We had some friends walking by the other day, and they're like, hey, nice Mercedes. So yeah, not only... I'm bragging about your Mercedes, don't you worry about it.
You'll have to wait a bit for my Christmas special. Stay tuned and ask me again from the 1st of December.
What?
What an odd comment to say. I'll be honest, I've never driven another car that has its own Christmas special. Maybe it is worth $67,000. Simultaneously, I think you get a lot of the same features for less money elsewhere.
Sweetie,
Yes?
will you share our trim recommendation?
I certainly will. Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential features you'd regret not getting, but at the lowest possible price. For its enhanced space and a cheaper asking price, we'd go with the GLC SUV. The base trim is well equipped with power heated memory seats, active parking assist, smart key access, and a hands-free power liftgate. But it's missing lane keeping assist. We'd recommend getting that driver assistance package, which costs an extra $2,000. And if you're ready to buy a GLC of your very own, click the Kelley Blue Book pricing link in the description below. As for competitors, if you want a coupe-like experience in your SUV, consider the BMW X4 or Audi Q5 Sportback, both of which are cheaper, or maybe a gas version of the Porsche Macan, which is only about $2,000 pricier than the GLC Coupe's base price. If you're looking for an SUV like the GLC SUV, consider the cheaper Audi Q5 or the similarly priced BMW X3 or Volvo XC60. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. And now it is our daughter's time to shine. Child, can you share what is your favorite feature of the Mercedes-Benz GLC?
On the map, when you look at it and you're turning, it looks like the car is drifting.
Kid, I cannot tell you how happy it makes me that that is your favorite feature. And it really does too. Look how wild we're getting in the GLC. Hey family, I think we've done a pretty good job reviewing the Mercedes-Benz GLC. May I have a 5? And a 5. You, come get your high five. Ah.